Oh, I'm probably going to have to give that one to Trenton.
Yeah.
I think probably a lot of us maybe it's not fair giving that to Trenton. I think a lot of us tend to overthink a lot of stuff sometimes. It definitely causes a bit of how would you put it, Parky?
Yeah, I think, we all have our moments of, like, just going, like, thinking way too much into something and going, I don't know, it's just we find ourselves doing that from time to time, but I think it's nice to sometimes we try and, like, help each other snap out of it. I don't think there's necessarily one person in the band that does it more so than others. I think we all just have our moments for sure.
We get a little bit lost on tour sometimes, and I think it's sometimes it's even hard to think at all, so sometimes there's probably a bit of underthinking going on as well. So.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, this is probably probably the only records we've had where, not that it didn't require a lot of thought, but things were flowing so much smoother than any other record we'd done prior to this, where I feel like in our first 3 records we did have so much thought going into everything and meticulously demoing songs and making sure sections were right, but I feel like this time around we were all in such different headspaces that everything was just flowing so much smoother that an idea would come up and then everyone would be into it straight away, and there wasn't kind of a lot of back and forth and trying to figure parts out. Like, I think things just naturally progressed really nicely and really smoothly through this, so probably the least on this record than we've ever had before of getting caught up in that, I think.
I reckon the older fans from like Ground Dweller onwards and the way that Trent was writing back then definitely was more of like a storytelling vibe.
Yeah, I think there's just, I guess it's hard to know exactly what everyone does do because, I know for me personally, I do like hearing a good story, but I will find myself getting way more caught up in like the rhythm of a song or the beat of a song or tempo of a song before sometimes I won't even notice that there's singing going on. That's like my focus is always going to be somewhere else, but I'm sure there are people that they want to hear the story behind it, but I know there's also a lot of people that can feel the story behind just like the instrumentations of the music or the sounds of a vocal without necessarily being able to hear the words, I think. So I'm sure we do have a lot of people from our earlier albums that really did attach themselves to how Trenton told stories, and I'm sure they probably still do attach to some of the stories that he's telling here, but I think it's always impossible for us to know how people are taking in that information as well. So. For me, for sure. I will get if I hear like a good rhythm or a good beat or something that like I can move to and like kind of sink myself into. That's how I will like sink myself into another act or band. Like, I guess also spending a lot of time seeing live music as well. I think it's always quite difficult to sometimes hear like lyrics and vocals live. Like sometimes it's kind of hard to decipher and understand what someone is saying, which makes it really hard to like, I guess, get in and sink yourself into a story that someone's telling you. So I think for me it's much easier just to, I guess, like feel the music or feel a rhythm and get lost in something there and then be connected to a band, and then maybe that does lead to listening to them further on and I don't know, then hearing a story down the line. But I guess for me personally it's a bit of it's a rhythm, it's a good beat, good bass line, good drum beat. Got me in.
I feel like first instincts, the first things that I sort of personally look out for are definitely like the natural rhythm. If you can get like a tap or a head bop or like anything to instantly grab you, then like Joel was saying, you capture that and you listen to it and you go, okay, cool, like they've got me. And then maybe after a few listens through, then you're like, all right, what's the singer about? Like, what's he saying? But it's, I guess everyone's different, but for me, I'm the same. Music and groove is definitely like super important.
Groove master.
I've got a few people that have actually asked me about that song, and I don't know Trenton's sort of motive behind the lyrics necessarily, but I do feel like that a lot of people have connected through that song in their own way, from whether it may be addiction or some sort of like emotional trauma or something that happened, and I feel like a lot of people connect really well with that song, and I feel like no matter what they're going through, if those lyrics do connect to them in some way, and it does give them a bit of confidence or some sort of motive to want to do something and reach out and speak up, then I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, and I think it definitely is a pretty like bold and powerful lyric, I think, in itself. And you know, I know there's so much, I guess, around that topic of people not being able to reach out and feel supported or feeling like they can't talk to someone about how they're feeling, and it's such a massive problem that we have. So even if that incites something or helps someone, give them the courage or give them anything to go, all right, I can open up and ask for help, it's massive for sure.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that, because I was only thinking about this at soundcheck about 5 minutes after I arrived from something that we as a band went through today. I feel what inspires me is, I guess, the other guys, and like even our team, like the guys we tour with, Jimmy, our sound guy, and we as a band and as a touring party, I feel like no matter what issues we come up against, we as a band can always overcome them, like being together and being a collective. And I'm very proud of, for example, today, like what we achieved. No matter what sort of hurdle is thrown at us, whether a bandwagon breaks down and we need to cross-load something, we're 2 hours away from a venue, or like no matter what hurdle is thrown at us, I feel like we've always tried to stay positive and overcome and support each other, and that is inspiring and a very proud moment for me, for sure. And Joel's a pretty cool guy, so like he inspires me every day.
Yeah,
inspires me to stretch a bit more and be a bit more flexible.
Today we were driving. Where were we coming from? We're coming from Glasgow.
Yeah.
We're about an hour and a half out of Birmingham, and we got pulled over by a police officer, and they weighed our van, and our van was 750 kilos over the weight that the legal limit we're allowed to have. So they gave us a very expensive fine and told us we couldn't move the vehicle.
Yeah, until we lost that.
Until it was under, we had to lose that 750 kilos. So we ended up pulling out most of the gear that we didn't need, and we sent two of the guys to drive here to start setting up the show. Myself, Maddie and Trent stayed with all the rest of the gear, and I hitchhiked with 10 boxes of merch to the show, and then Maddie and Trent got picked up by one of the other bands and they brought them there. So somehow we didn't even miss soundcheck. Like we all made it here, and there's like, it's kind of surprising the amount of times that situations like that have come up in our touring career where like whether it is a breakdown or a run-in with the law, and we will just somehow always end up making a show, making things work. Like, you know, there's definitely some tough times and some tension times, but we definitely always manage to get through. And I think it is like somewhat of a testament to us being calm and collective for the most part, and being able to communicate properly about what's going on and get through and problem solve some situations.
Just a bunch of Aussie battlers trying to get through another day.
Yeah.
So I think we've done really, really well. And it's like we have this saying, it's like it wouldn't be another Hands Like Houses tour if something didn't go wrong. And then so we have another saying called CHBL, you can't help bad luck. So I think we're definitely going to get that tattooed.
CHBL today. I was actually talking to the guy that picked me up today. Was Marek?
Marcin?
I can't. Is it Marcin?
Marek is Mark. Marcin. Oh, I can't remember Marcin. Anyway.
So it was one of Parky's distant relatives.
Okay.
No, but we were talking actually about hitchhiking today, and that I believe, well, you may be able to answer this. Apparently, it is illegal in the UK to hitchhike. I can't confirm this nor deny it because I'm not aware, but I know that it is now illegal to hitchhike in Australia. But about 3 months ago, I went over to New Zealand and did an entire trip there by just hitchhiking, which was quite a nice experience because I feel like people that do want to pick up hitchhikers are, for the most part, pretty lovely people and pretty open to helping others out if they don't have a vehicle or don't have a ride. So there's always pretty interesting conversations, and I definitely had a lot of very interesting times hitchhiking around New Zealand and just meeting people and having good chats and yarns. So I haven't done heaps more, but it was today was a pretty good time. I had a very good chat with the guy who picked me up, and we had about an hour long ride and talked all things about life, and he might even come out to one of our shows next week in the Czech Republic. So yeah, it's difficult, I guess. You know, obviously, I think all of us feel quite, I guess, blessed to be in a position of, you know, sharing our story or our music or, you know, whatever it is we're creating. But, you know, you look at, you know, how things have gone for us, and we've been able to tour all around the world and do a lot of, I guess, have a lot of successes playing music. But, you know, the amount of times that we'll pop down to a local bar in a random city and, you know, see the most amazing musician just sitting around playing or busking, and, you know, you kind of sit there and question, you're like, oh, how do I have a platform to do this when they don't? And, you know, it's the same thing about, you know, hearing someone do some spoken word or poetry at a bar, or, you know, there's so many things that I think everyone could benefit from all these stories, but I guess it's in such a saturated market that it's so difficult to even, I guess, break down who it is that gets given the platform, because, you know, a lot of the times with music it's like, cool, if you sign to a major label you're going to get this opportunity, or if you have this much money you're going to get given this opportunity. But without having that, it's so hard to know, like, whose story should we listen to. Like, in a big picture things, like, we're kind of taking in the story that, I guess, mass media or big media is telling us, and we're getting the stories of that, which I guess is a tough thing in itself to, like, deal with. But there'd be so much inspiration on the street, or I guess even just in conversations that you can have by bumping into someone in a market or bumping into someone in a shop and, like, hearing a bit of wisdom from them or hearing a bit of a story from them. It's hard to, I guess, look past that, but I think it is important to try and, like, hear everyone's story and at least give everyone the time of day to take in what it is they are saying. And
it would be cool to be able to have a little spotlight, you know, give them a 5-minute window. Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. Oh, that's tough. How would we like the Hands Like Houses?
Lots of pictures, for one.
Pictures?
Yep. Pictures in books is awesome.
I would like to have... Oh, that's so difficult. I know how I'd like it to be right now, but how I'd like this book to end, I think I'd obviously want it to be a happy ending. I want it to be something that, like, we kind of go out on top and, like, we're all cheering and high-fiving and, like cheersing or something.
I think you're saying, like, headlining Wembley or something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to be against that, but it'd be nice just to know that this goes out in a way that we're all happy.
Yeah.
It's so hard to know for now if that's this year, if that's 20 years, if that's 6 months. But I definitely like it to go out with everyone being still friends, still mates, like, still getting on, and I guess not like a bitter ending, which is such a tough thing, I think, for a musician to hope for that. Like, I mean, everyone wants that, obviously, but it's hard to expect that.
Not every ending is happy or...
Totally.